Welcome to the William Wagener Show on issues the network media is usually too afraid to tackle. I'm Pamela Wistrom, tonight's co-host. And now, for the host and star of this 14-year-long weekly TV show, are you ready? The one and only William J.
Thank you. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of a new kind of Paul Revere. She's here in the studio with us tonight under the lights that are so bright. Her name is Valerie Lopez, and what you're looking at is a cartoon by BizarroComics.com, and it starts, "How much is it?" as they stand to the vending machine that dispenses justice. And the guy and the client in front putting his money says, "It varies. You just keep putting money in until you're broke and hope for the best." And with that, I want to introduce you to Valerie Lopez. Here with me in the studio. I'm taking off my white hat for our audience that's here tonight and also for you viewers at home. What we just showed them, Valerie, was something most Americans have never seen. They don't even know the trial in Atlanta, Georgia took place 2 years ago. They have no concept that our so-called legal president was put on trial, and at the last minute he says, "Nah, I ain't going to participate." And they just welched out. But they went ahead and had the trial without him. And all the witnesses testified. You saw the court number. If any of you lawyers want to pull up that court number, it's out there. BizarroComics.com, and it starts, "How much is it?" as they stand to the vending machine that dispenses justice. And the guy and the client in front putting his money says, "It varies. You just keep putting money in until you're broke and hope for the best." And with that, I want to introduce you to Valerie Lopez, who's here with me in the studio. I'm taking off my white hat for our audience that's here tonight and also for you viewers at home. What we just showed them, Valerie, was something most Americans have never seen. They don't even know the trial in Atlanta, Georgia took place 2 years ago. They have no concept that our so-called legal president was put on trial, and at the last minute he says, "Nah, I ain't going to participate." And they just welched out. But they went ahead and had the trial without him. And all the witnesses testified. You saw the court number. If any of you lawyers want to pull up that court number, it's out there.
Oh, William, just loosen up a little bit.
What tonight I'm bringing you is another witness, another Paul Revere in the female form, who's carrying the torch for all you people that have been foreclosed on, or you are about to be foreclosed on, or you think you might be foreclosed on, or you've been tricked into what Candace Jones called fraud or modifying loans. She says you can't do it because you're modifying fraud.
They have wonderful little words they love to slip in. And if anyone ever read the TARP, you could know that it was only suggested that they do modification for these people. Now, first off, I don't believe in these modifications because it's modifying fraud, just as Renee said. These documents are fraudulent in everything I've seen over the last 3 years.
And that was on the California 18, which you weren't here that night.
No, I was not.
But I'm glad you're here tonight, and welcome back for your second shot.
My second shot,
Second
yes.
shot. That America is kind of a banana republic.
Right now it is. It's the wild, wild west.
Are the Congress in charge?
No.
Is the president in charge?
No one's listening to us.
That's right. We have no representation. Who do you think is really running this country?
The people that make the Federal Reserve notes, worthless securities, the people that have access to that magic machine.
To just print money out of thin air and just keep cranking it
Just
over.
like Bewitched. They twinkle their nose and they create money out of thin air. Those are the people who are in charge.
Okay, so you were in securities brokerage, you had your own firm. Who did you train with? Because most people didn't see this first show.
Okay, well, I began in the mortgage industry in 1987, and I was fortunate to work with very prominent mortgage bankers, Bob Newberry, who ran World Savings Secondary Department, Glenn Pickren, Bob Urey, Dan Delglazzi, who ran Mission Hills, Sandy Lewis. I ran Sandy Lewis's secondary market, And then also, of course, I bought my own mortgage company in 1995 and ran my own mortgage company, the secondary market as well.
How long did you do that?
Since 1987. I bought my company in 1995.
95, and you decided to quit because you saw the little beginnings of fraud?
In 2010, I actually had to file a bankruptcy. I didn't go into this on my first visit. I was a credit card queen. I didn't use them, but I had credit cards. I thought it was a flattering gesture from the banks, and I was doing business with Countrywide, and one of their employees stole my credit information, and I had credit transactions all around the world.
Wow.
Due to this identity theft. So consequently, I was having difficulty balancing my business plus trying to battle this identity theft. So I thought I would go to a safe haven, the bankruptcy court,
Okay.
to weed through all of this mess. And lo and behold, I got shot right behind on my blind side by a company called Pike Duncan. Pike Duncan. Yes, it's a third-party debt collector. And
Are they warm, fuzzy, friendly people?
No, they're not.
They're like sharks with real double sharp teeth?
They are. Well, their parent company was going down the drain financially. They were headed towards bankruptcy. So they did a reorganization business plan to avoid it. And their goal, their eye on the prize, was to go into bankruptcy court and snatch up as many homes as they possibly could by filing fraudulent documents within the court. And I was one of their victims.
Ah, so you were a victim first, and you'd been in the business.
Right. Yeah, so I knew. I mean,
So you recognized the fraud they were pulling at the time.
Who were they kidding? They weren't kidding me. I knew exactly.
You had your own company for 10 years when this happened.
Right.
More than 10 years. You've been packaging these things together and selling them off to Wall Street.
That's correct. Prior to going to Wall Street, before you go to Wall Street, you have to get your file, your mortgage file, after the borrower signs the package, and make sure that it meets all underwriting guidelines, make sure that all the housing, health and safety issues are met. And at that point then, that package, which entails your paper note with a payment stream or your debt still intact to the paper note, and in your paper deed of trust and any applicable assignments of deed of trust, are actually sold and negotiated and transferred all together.
Altogether, the whole package.
Yes, everything. It's a lot of paper processing, and that needs to take place. I always say you walk through the state of California door to take care of all these tasks.
Which requires recording at the county courthouse.
Yes, after each sale.
And you don't leave a blank line.
No. You're going to see everything parallel. So if there is a sale, it's like a pink slip. You don't wait 10 years to file your pink slip. It's done.
Yeah, right away.
Yeah, you have, well, with the state of California laws, you have a temporary secured status for 20 days. Then it's California Commercial Code 9312 says you get that assignment to deed of trust filed. Otherwise, there's going to be an unsecured status. And then we'll look at the compliance issues. And in the case that you haven't complied, you're toast. That debt is no longer secured. That debt is no longer secured. That debt is no longer secured. There's going to be an unsecured status, and then we'll look at the compliance issues. And in the case that you haven't complied, you're toast. That debt is no longer secured. That debt is no longer secured.
So if it's not secured, has no more validity than a unsecured credit card debt.
That's correct. Yes, essentially.
The homeowner thinks it is because they're making payments under threat that the big bad bank or the big bad wolf bank is going to come and eat their house and take it away and throw them in the street because they think it's secured because they have not gone back to who's ever servicing their loan and said, I want to see all the original documents. I want to see the whole package all together. Nobody does that.
No. In the case that you
But they should, huh?
In the case that if there's someone like me and they recognize that there was illegalities, then you have a right to tell that judge, I have an illegalities defense. And based on that, under 12 CFR 226.39, I want all the accounting. I want all the accounting. I want all the accounting. I'm demanding all the accounting because of all the illegalities that are present. You have a blank line with an unnamed payee. You have missing assignments. Consequently, that proves that this transaction did not follow the state of California real property laws. which are very important in order to maintain that secured status, the debt secured to the house.
And when they violate that law, is that more than just a civil tort? Is that a penal code violation?
No, at this point, we got to stop saying it's a civil matter. I'm tired of hearing it's a civil matter. This is a federal RICO organization that is happening. The servicers don't have a leg to stand on. They're just collecting the unsecured payment stream.
They're doing white collar crime.
Yes, that's
And
exactly.
because they live in big fancy houses and big bank buildings, and they pay themselves huge salaries to rob people of their homes, they think they're not accountable to the criminal law.
Right, they're better than us. But we have news for them. We're their equals.
At least they're equals.
We're their equals, and they have to answer to us.
Okay, so what are the steps you would recommend? Because I keep looking at this bizarro, comics thing. You just keep putting money in and putting money in until you're broke and hope for the best. And there's lots of people who paid their attorneys and paid their attorneys and then found out their attorneys didn't know what they're doing.
Correct.
And they
what's
lost their
happening.
house. And then sometimes they found out their attorney took some money from the bank
Sure.
in the back under the table, and nobody sees that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, people have to be very careful just because these attorneys will say, oh, I just can't stand the bank. Yeah, right. You just want my monthly paycheck to
Yeah.
go to your office. So people have to be very careful. They have to understand the crime thoroughly, because I really feel that when it comes to hiring legal help, you have to understand that the client needs to understand that the attorney is like a chainsaw and the client is the operator. So it's very important that you understand the crime so that you can direct that chainsaw to work effectively.
Yes, I can think of where we would like that chainsaw to work effectively. I can see the bankers line up, down on your knees, put your head through put the clapping down and hold your hands in the head there, and now we get the chainsaw. And we'll see how much truth we can get out of them when they're in that position. They used to, in the olden days, like 200 years ago, when they caught people doing bad things, they would put them in the stocks and pelt them with rotten tomatoes and potatoes and mud and dirt. Maybe we should reserve that punishment and bring that back just for bankers.
I think so. I mean, I was reading a book. It was called The Founding Fathers on Leadership, and it goes into very personal experiences. And they were talking about George Washington and how he used to, I'm not sure what you call it, but he used to take a paddle to them. Yeah,
Paddle
I think that's what we should do.
So, when somebody gets the note,
This is what I'd like to do.
okay, do it.
I think that our last presentation was great, but this crime is like the invisible man. I think at our last presentation, we put the sunglasses on and the hat on. Let's put the coat and the shoes on.
Okay.
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and put out a few definitions, and then we're going to go into the PowerPoint.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible so everyone can understand the crime, and there's no excuses. I'm hoping that this goes out to sheriffs and DAs so that we can educate everyone on this crime, because by permitting these crimes, we're only hurting ourselves, and we're never going to get up, maintain our life the way it should be due to this fallen economy. First of all, the banana. I feel that this banana is representative of the paper note. The paper is representative of the peel, and then the inside of the banana is your payment stream or your debt. That's what you send to the servicer every single month. Okay?
The inside, after we peel,
Yes, that is your debt. That's your monthly payment.
the monthly payment is the stuff inside.
Yeah, and then this is your paper here.
This is the paper.
Right.
Okay, so they're peeling the paper away.
Well, not quite yet. Let's not go there, but let's just go ahead and
Okay.
define everything first. Okay, but you get the gist of it. Okay,
Yep.
because you don't see the debt or the payment stream. It's invisible.
Okay.
But it's an actual item.
Yeah, it's real.
Okay, so we got that. What I'd like to do now is let's define what the state real property laws consider to be a true legal sale. The state defines a true sale to be the sale of the paper document
Okay.
along with the payment stream still intact, the paper deed of trust, as well as any applicable assignments of deed of trust that are timely. They must happen parallel, meaning if there's a
Same
sale,
instant. same time.
Around the same time. I mean, you can go ahead and wait 10 days to file the assignment, but usually, I mean, if you're on your game, you want, once the sale has taken place and the seller has agreed to buy the entire paper package, then me as the seller, I'm going to go ahead and do my work, and I'm going to go to the county and record that assignment deed of trust.
Now, let me be clear. We're not talking about a real estate sale end of it where you're talking about the buyer buying it from the seller. We're talking about the paper and the payment stream inside it in that loan package.
Correct, yes.
When we say the buyer, we're talking about Wall Street or investors within the state or somewhere.
So in the case that you're a buyer, so if a homeowner signs his package, then I take the package, then I prepare the file to make sure I can present it to the next potential buyer of this mortgage package. So it's you, so you would go ahead and take a look at the mortgage package, and
Okay.
we'll negotiate the sale. So then once it's concluded, then I will record what's called an assignment of deed of trust, which is like a pink slip,
Okay.
which shows that you are now the owner of that lawful mortgage package. It's all paper
And where do you record that pink slip?
in the county records.
In the county in which the property resides.
That's correct.
Not the county where the bank's head corporate office is,
No, it's where the property is
where
located.
the property is. So if they don't find a recording dated within 30 days or so,
It's actually, you actually have a 20-day period. You have a 20-day period where there's a temporary secured status.
so if they don't record it within that 20 days, is that the first felony?
Well, essentially, it definitely could be
'Cause
something negative.
They're cheating the county out of fees.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But let's go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my main point is I just wanted to achieve, just to define what is a true sale. So it's the purchase of a complete paper package.
The whole package, got it.
Everything, all three parts. Okay, we know it's the paper note and it's
Paper note,
debt, aka the payment stream,
payment stream, which is inside.
right?
Yep,
And then the deed of trust, and
And
then
the
any
deed of trust.
applicable assignments of deed of trust.
And the assignments of the deed of trust.
Okay.
Okay, that's the whole package.
Okay. Next, what I'd like to do is go ahead and discuss the MERS Certifying Officer's Handbook. Okay.
First, define what MERS is, because this is a relatively new term. They didn't even have MERS when I was selling real estate a decade or so ago.
Okay. The MERS is actually it's a database, and it was created by the banking industry for their convenience. It wasn't approved by the people, we the people.
By Congress.
Right.
anybody.
No, it was not. It was for their convenience, administrative convenience. And what it does is it actually keeps track of who owns the debt, the
Okay.
inside of the banana.
They keep track of who owns the inside, the banana, the
Correct.
payment stream
The
inside.
payment stream, right. Our monthly
Okay.
payment that we send every month. Okay, so the MERS Certifying Officer's Handbook is the Bible.
There it
There
is.
we go. This is the MERS Certifying Officer's Handbook. And this is the Bible that sets the restrictions of what an assignment of deed of trust should actually represent. Okay, so I'm just going to stop there. Let's discuss what would be a perfect MERS assignment of deed of trust. And we're going to use my loan, for example.
Okay.
My note in deed of trust, the entity that gave me my loan was GN Mortgage.
All right.
Okay, so let's just say GN Mortgage sold it to buyer number B
Okay.
within 10 days of me signing the documents. So a perfect assignment deed of trust would be GN Mortgage to seller number B. Okay, the B party took the entire paper package, and then GN Mortgage made an assignment of deed of trust to company number B, and it's done within a 20-day window.
Okay.
Okay, according to California Commercial Code 9312. So that's been perfected. The debt is still intact with the paper note. That is a perfect assignment of deed of trust. Okay, now let's take a look at what's not a perfect assignment of deed of trust. Okay, you ready for this?
Ready?
Okay. This is what was submitted to my court and how I knew that this was not a good situation. Okay, here's an assignment of deed of trust. Notice who created this assignment of deed of trust. Recorded, let's see here. Prepared
China
by,
brown?
well, no, look up here. Prepared by, when recorded, mailed to Pike Duncan LLP.
Pike Duncan LLP.
Okay.
Ship and drive.
They're a third-party debt collector. So this is not an effective assignment deed of trust. First of all, I got my loan in 2005. All right. Now, China Brown signed it in 2010.
Oh my gosh.
And everyone knows that China Brown is a Wells Fargo employee. So what is she doing?
Signing for Mortgage Electronic Registration Systems, Inc.
Solely as nominee for GN Mortgage LLC. Okay, well, first of all, she's a Wells Fargo employee of the servicer. Okay, and again, as we discussed, the first assignment should have only been from GN Mortgage. So you know this is a fake assignment. If Freddie Mac bought the payment stream in 2005 as verified through the Wall Street records, we've already discussed an assignment of deed of trust memorializes a true sale of all three parts. Well, Freddie Mac bought this payment stream in 2005. What lawful package is she selling to her employer? She's assigning it to her employer.
She's selling some digitized paperwork without the inside payment stream.
She's actually just, what she's doing, she's trying to hoodwink the court, trying to just present something.
Is there a real person named China Brown?
Yes, yeah, she's a real person. Yeah, she's representing a number of different companies, defunct companies.
And is that her real signature? Do we know that's really her signature?
It doesn't look, she has different versions of signature. Lynn Zamoniak, who won the National Mortgage Settlement for the United States of America, has actually done a lot of research on this lady. And anyway, yeah, she's in a lot of hot water. It hasn't all caught up with her. But the bottom line is that this assignment of deed of trust does not memorialize a true sale. Again, if Freddie Mac bought the payment stream, what the heck is she selling to her employer, Wells Fargo? Actually, how it should have been is that in 2005, this is just a...
This is 2010.
Yeah.
There should be something between 05 and 2010.
Well...
And there doesn't appear to be.
The items that made me realize that they did not abide by the state laws is where they sold the entire mortgage paper package is because Pike Duncan showed endorsements that just did not coincide with what should have happened. And then in addition, you had this assignment of deed of trust filed in 2010, whereby this defunct company, GM Mortgage or MERS, was selling something to Wells Fargo. Well, it's not a whole package because this payment stream was sold in 2005. So essentially, it's just not connecting at all whatsoever. So it's just evidence that they are trying to just hoodwink the court.
Hoodwink the court.
Yes. Okay.
Get away with the white-collar crime.
Right. Go down a little bit further here. There's a note from Lynn Zamoniak here for me. Okay, so let's go down here. Okay, MERS corporate resolution. Each company that's a member of MERS is given this corporate resolution. Okay, and let's just say that GN Mortgage did everything lawfully. Okay, they would have this corporate resolution giving them a right to file that assignment of deed of trust on a timely manner with GN Mortgage in there. Now, the fact is that Wells Fargo, they submitted their own corporate resolution. Okay, this is the wrong corporate resolution, number one. And it didn't click at all whatsoever because China Brown was signing for a defunct company or MERS. And actually MERS on their website is very specific in stating, we don't participate, we don't sell, we don't sign assignment of deed of trust at all whatsoever. The OCC cease and desist order of April 13, 2011 told the industry and Wells Fargo, look, stop having your employees pose as MERS employees. That's an order. It is a violation, so stop it.
That was an order when?
That was April 13, 2011.
And they're still doing it?
They're still doing it.
It's 3 years later.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they're still doing it.
So they're violating an order. Is that order recorded?
It's the OCC. It's their boss. It's an agency that oversees them. But their attitude pretty much is we can do whatever we want.
Well, that's what U.S. Bank said in the Pam Ragland foreclosure, and they took her house right before Christmas in December 2008, and that's what's on Lopez versus Crooked Bank #2 on YouTube. And Judge Miller did not like hearing that Pam Ragland had a federal bankruptcy stay order in place saying you cannot take her house for 20 days. She has 20 days to come up with the money. They said, we don't care. And they took it the next week. And when Judge Miller heard her testify and saw the documents, they quickly settled out of court. That's why she can't come on my show and talk about it, because they paid her to shut up, and I'm sure they want that case. It was only 1 day's trial in front of the jury. I'm sure they want that sealed. They probably have applied to have that case sealed, but I was there and I saw it. I could see Judge Miller down there in Orange County was not a happy camper when they kept bringing up this saying, oh yeah, it was the arrogance of the attorney for U.S. Bank said to the jurors, you look at the jurors and said, you wouldn't hold it against us if we just foreclosed on her a couple of weeks early, would you? I mean, she didn't have the money. You wouldn't hold it against us, would you? And the jury's like, is he kidding? Is he joking? You evicted this single mom and 2 kids right before Christmas, and we're supposed to sympathize with the bank? Because you broke a federal judge's stay order, and Judge Miller just let the attorney for Pam Ragland just hammer that when she started testifying, and they the next day said, we're done. We're not going to let any more get on the record. Pay the woman off. We're out of here. And they had 5 attorneys, and they were like doing their dirty business out their mouth instead of the other end.
Yeah.
They couldn't wait to get this out of the, because I was there watching, and I was the only person from the public watching for my TV show. They couldn't wait. And I'm sure they were glad Judge Miller refused my media request, so I couldn't get any of that on videotape. Because now they can seal the court record and nobody will hear any more about Pam Ragland. But because somebody tipped me off, she told me everything she was going to testify, and that's on Lopez versus Crooked Bank #2 on YouTube. So you can hear everything she said in court 2 days before she said it. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I would have liked to have had a camera in Mary McCullough's case up there in the northern state of whatever, Wyoming. Anyway, we're digressing.
Yes. Okay.
You need to stick
so,
here
you
so
know,
we can get
one
done.
thing that I would like to just state in talking about judges, or just everybody in general, it's so important that we educate in this program. I feel that judges need to attend classes, and they need to show their competence, that they know how to form lawful mortgage-backed securities, because I think they're just winging it, and they're not educated on forming lawful mortgage-backed securities, and there's a lot of horrible decisions being made.
I agree, but you have Catherine Bauer, who's a former bank employee, now sitting as a judge, screwing over people in her court daily, and that's farther down south. In L.A., you've got Judge Korn, this real pretty blonde judge, and she was a former bank-related person, and she's sitting in judge and just hammering the homeowners.
Yeah, well,
So, I mean, even if they know, they seem to have a bias for the bank.
I'm not really sure what is going on. There was one judge that I was just so proud of. His name was Samuel Buford, and he was in Los Angeles working the bankruptcy court there, and that man was just brilliant. He actually faced off with Pike Duncan, and Pike Duncan did not hoodwink this judge. He caught them on all their little shenanigans.
Good for Buford.
He was wonderful. Yeah, now he's actually working at the University of Michigan, I believe, or Michigan, I believe is where he's at. And I thought, you know, that's a great move, because he's educating the future attorneys on how to be a good judge in the future, or an attorney. So
Do you think they forced him out of his office?
maybe.
Pressured him?
Maybe. I tried to call him, but of course I never got a call back. So, but he was wonderful, and I just would like to say that.
Okay, so we
yeah.
have one good Judge Buford, but he's gone. All right, what's the next point we
Okay,
have
so
here?
well, I think at this point now we're ready to go through the PowerPoint, so we can go ahead and.
Okay.
So here we go. Let's begin the journey. There are 2 doors here. We have the state of California door, and we discussed that, whereby anyone who is selling lawful mortgage packages, we must go through that door. And I like to liken this to, let's just say that we're at an amusement park and we're at the entrance, And one of the rules of this amusement park is you must go through the state of California door and complete all that mundane paper processing work in order to maintain that secured status of that. Debt
Okay.
to your paper note. Mandatory. You have to go through that door. And it's after that that you can go to Wall Street.
And what are those things they have to do in paperwork to go through the state of California door?
Well, again, so the borrower signs their paper documents. I put all their files together, and I will make sure that everything is perfected underwriting-wise, health and safety issues. And I drive to my seller's office, and we sit down and we look over all the files. He agrees to buy all of the files I have presented. I endorse the note over to buyer number B, and then I will then go ahead and record the assignment of deed of trust to represent our lawful sale of the paper documents.
Okay.
And then the monies then are forwarded over to me, and the public records reflect that assignment. So everything's been perfected within that 20-day window, whereby I have to file that assignment of deed of trust within that 20-day
So
window.
buyer B's forwarded the money over to you,
That's a lawful sale.
and that's a lawful sale.
Yes, so everything is still together. We have the paper note and then my deed of trust have been sold together
Okay.
to the next seller.
Got the deed of trust and the note all together, and that goes to the seller.
Right, and then I
Seller.
record, yeah, and then I go ahead and record my assignment of deed of trust,
Okay.
which reflects that sale. We have perfected the sale.
Okay, so
Okay.
now it's a perfected sale, but it's
Yes.
all together, the payment stream, the paperwork, the deed of trust.
Right, okay.
Got it.
Can we go to the next slide real quick? All right, I'm not going to go through all this. You can read this on your own, but essentially I'm just going to give you an overview. Commercial Code 7-501, what this code is this is kind of like the chief and the director, which is telling all of us, you must buy and sell the entire paper mortgage package.
7-501 says there has to be a tangible paper mortgage,
Right.
not a digitalized
Right.
electronic.
So it establishes that you have to negotiate, transfer, and sell the entire mortgage loan package. Okay, all three parts. The
Okay.
paper note in its intact debt and the deed of trust and any applicable assignments of deed of trust. This is the boss, okay? Next, all right. Now, this banana, again, as we discussed, represents the paper note, and I liken this. So essentially what these people did is at the entrance of the amusement park is they said, you know what, we're not going to go to the state of California. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and strip the payment stream from the paper note, just like you would a banana. I'm going to convert this to a binary computer file, and I'm going to ship it out to Wall Street. I'm going to go straight to the Wall Street door,
Oh,
okay, with illegal electronic copies of the written negotiable instrument,
crime number 2.
okay, and we're going to form mortgage-backed securities. Now, because they did not go to the state of California door and went through that fiery door of Wall Street, they have just created unsecured debt.
And this is why they can't find the note.
Well, this paper note,
Got left behind or shredded.
it no longer evidences the debt, does it? Because this is in Wall Street trading.
Yeah, that's in Wall Street trading. There's the promise to pay there, but here's the note
And it had,
without the,
right,
they
without,
separate it. So now we've got a devalued.
it's a devalue, it's no longer new, it's nullified. Does it look like a good banana to you?
No, I wouldn't pay anything to buy a banana peeling
Right.
without the payment stream. So
Right,
that's why so many notes are missing, because they've sold that other valuable part.
yeah, this is a federal felony. When you sell unsecured debt with illegal electronic copies of the written negotiable instruments, that's a felony, 15 U.S.C. 7003. You cannot do that.
Who's guilty of the felony? The Wall Street guy that buys it that way? The person that sells it to them?
The individual,
Both?
the individual that stood at the entrance of again, I like to use analogy of the amusement park that said, hey, we're not going to the state of California door, we're going straight to Wall Street. That is called an unsecured account debtor. And he used this item, which is personal property, his personal property, to involve his contract, his private contract.
Got it.
Okay, so essentially he should be chasing after himself. Instead, what he's doing is he's chasing after the homeowners, filing all these fraudulent documents in order to try to reconnect this debt involved with felony crimes back to these homes. He's toast.
If we catch him, if the sheriff understands that.
Yeah, it's too late. You can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
So no matter how many years have gone by, because of that fraud stops the statute of limitations. It could have been 10 years ago. We could still go get them.
Oh, absolutely.
And the
Absolutely.
homeowner can win their home back or the value of it.
If you understand the crime.
Or like Mary McCullough, get the jury to give her 5 times. She won $1 million in damages and $5 million in punitive damages. That's pretty good for catching them.
Right,
I don't know what Pam Raglan got now because she settled out of court and she can't tell me.
right.
But I hope it was a lot.
I hope so too. I do. Okay, why don't we go to the next screen?
First step to forming lawful mortgage-backed securities. Carry out
Okay, well,
the task related to the paper mortgage.
right. What
Loan
again?
packages.
Let's not read over it because we want to go ahead and go over a lot of stuff. So what we're doing here is we're just discussing the fact that again, you must walk through that state of California door and negotiate, transfer, and sell that entire paper mortgage package. Okay.
Got it.
So I think everyone now sees that. All right. Proper endorsements, parallel assignments of deed, which reflect that lawful sale that just took place.
Payment stream, the assignment deed of trust. Yep.
Okay, let's go to the next screen.
State real property laws, California Commercial Code 7501. You mentioned that earlier.
Right. Okay. So again, this is just repetitive, but it's good to be repetitive so that we're clear on this.
This is what
Scenario.
people need to know.
Yes.
Even if
Okay.
their lawyer doesn't know.
So California Commercial Code 7-501, what did I say? That is the chief and director, right? It says that the paper package, all 3 parts, need to be negotiated, sold, and transferred with the parallel assignment of deed of trust and also proper endorsement. So there's not going to be blank lines, there's not going to be missing assignments, you're not going to have servicers pretending to be MERS employees or employees of defunct companies or ABC Trust from Wall Street filing assignments of deed of trust 10 years later. You're not going to have any of that if it's perfected and met the state of California laws. And that's required in order for any party to foreclose on a home.
912, I think?
9312.
9312.
93112 states that, again, that's the law that shows you that, okay, if you have a sale, you have 20 days of temporary status, but you make sure and record that assignment of deed of trust to memorialize that true sale of
Which
the
has
entire
got to
mortgage
be
package.
recorded in the county.
Right.
And the counties are getting cheated, so the district attorneys of the county should be criminally indicting these people.
Exactly. They've lost millions of
They
dollars.
lost millions in every county.
Exactly.
And the taxpayers have to make up that lost income.
3203 subsection D. That law says, okay, well, you're at the amusement park entrance and you have 2 doors to walk through, the state of California and the Wall Street door. All right, well, if you chose to go ahead and walk through to Wall Street without going to the state of California door, you're toast. Because essentially what you've done is if you sold just a partial to Wall Street and did not negotiate the way you were supposed to with all 3 parts, then this note is devalued. It no longer is of any value. Use it for your birdcage. It's no longer of any value.
Or feed it to your guinea pigs.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you've just created an unsecured debt, and it's no longer negotiable.
So
Okay,
if it's-
hold
if
on
it's
one second. I just want to say something. The deed of trust secures the paper note. Okay, the paper note evidences the debt. If this no longer evidences the debt, the deed of trust no longer has anything to secure. So the deed of trust is null and void.
So the deed of trust is null and void. So it doesn't matter if the banking company or the service says, but we've got the deed of trust.
It doesn't. It's null and void.
It's null and void.
Right.
Once they strip that payment stream from,
Does
the
it look
note.
of any value to you?
yeah, no,
Okay.
no.
All right. We are at 3-115. Okay, this one talks about these notes that the third-party debt collectors bring into court with empty lines. That empty line is a negotiable instrument with a yet unnamed payee. And as we discussed, because the felony has been completed, this paper note with the blank line will never be filled in. Who's going to want to buy a devalued note?
Not me, I'm not
Okay,
paid for that piece
right.
of skin.
But that's what they're doing. Pike Duncan did it to me. They were waving in this note, and I tried to tell the Judge Kwan, I said, we need to get some accounting here. And he says, oh no, color of law. I'm going to go lift the stake, take her house.
Oh my goodness gracious.
But that's what 3115 says. It says that if there's an unnamed payee, that negotiable instrument will not be negotiable until there is a named payee, and it will never be filled in because, again, you can't sell counterfeit securities.
Valerie, are you talking about the same Judge Kwan that sits in Orange County Courthouse?
No, he sits in Pasadena now.
Oh, he's in Pasadena.
Yeah, he's a bankruptcy court in Pasadena.
Looks like then we turn to commercial code. Commercial code 3203,
Oh, see,
subsection D.
pretty much just saying that if you sell less than the entire mortgage note, then essentially it's not a negotiable, it's no longer negotiable, essentially. I just said.
Sale doesn't really become effective.
Right,
So why should the homeowner have to be foreclosed on if they've done this?
Well, actually, because of the crime, these people, these third-party debt collector attorneys, because they're so good at hoodwinking everybody and gift of gab, they have no right to exercise any state laws whatsoever, because essentially there's a felony committed.
Unbelievable.
What felon do you know has a right to go ahead and exercise laws to make a revenue off of stealing properties?
Only George W. Bush.
Okay. All right.
And Bill Clinton, who did not have sex with that woman and that woman and that woman, and he's darn sorry about it because he missed them all.
Oh my goodness gracious.
You're supposed to laugh, Pamela Winstrom. Okay, moving on.
Okay. All right. Well,
State real property laws.
Yeah, this pretty much is just saying.
To be a holder in due course.
What I would dare any home. I'm not going to read through this. I'm just going to tell you. I dare any homeowner, when they're in court, to motion the court to require the third-party debt collector attorney to state does he represent the creditor or the holder in due course? Okay, the creditor would be the individual that actually gave the homeowner money. Or the holder in due course means that the transaction actually went through the legal process whereby an actual valid transaction exists. And he won't answer because he knows that the contract is breached and involved with securities fraud in the security market. He will not answer.
What if he does answer? What if he says we're the holder in due course?
Well, that would be pretty not so bright on his part because the evidence in the public record shows that they never went through the state of California door. And then the missing
so
line.
then he's committing perjury on the record.
Right.
If he's sworn in. But most of these attorneys never swear in, they just come and argue.
Right, yeah, well, once you
So
understand.
is that one of the tricks? We have to trick the judge into swearing the attorney in under oath as a witness?
Well, my experience, Catherine Bauer, when I motioned Anglin Llewellyn, Dean Rallis to front up who he represents, he was like, oh, do I have to do that? And she says, no, you don't have to do that. So, anyway.
So she knew she was going to be caught in perjury.
Well, she actually participated in these little scams. So, she's just helping her buddies out.
Be the sole party with the sole claim to the payment stream. Debt,
Right.
AKA intangible obligation.
Well, this is just saying, again, you have to abide by the chief, 7-501. You have to negotiate, transfer, and sell the entire paper mortgage package. Okay?
I'm counting felonies committed by these white-collar criminals. I think we're at 3 felonies here so far. They've done all these things. So is there another slide?
Okay.
Mortgage-backed securities fraud.
Okay, so this is kind of a picture of what they did here. Essentially what they did is they said, we're not going to the state of California door. What we're going to do, we're going to skip the California door. We're going to go ahead and strip the debt from the paper note. We're going to turn it to a binary computer file, and we're going to send it over to Wall Street with illegal electronic copies of the paper note and deed of trust. And then we're going to go ahead and sell it to the unsuspecting investors. We're going to grab their money, and no one will know. No one will know. And then what we'll do is we'll have the homeowners' monthly payment streams go and pay our contract involved with the securities fraud in the security market. And then if the homeowner defaults, then we'll steal their home because we'll hoodwink everybody.
Wow. This is massive white-collar crime, and this explains why we had the real estate crunch, at least in part, and why they needed a bailout. Because they,
Right.
and if they made 100% copies, which is another felony,
Right.
you cannot make a copy greater than 76% of the original wet ink original.
Right.
If it's 77%, that's a felony.
Right. Yeah, there is no law that allows what they did as far as making the illegal electronic copies of the paper note and deed of trust and then sending it over with a binary computer file of the debt stripped from the note without ever going to the state of California.
But there's nobody on the internet checking them as these things go electronically, whiz, 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 whiz
Right.
in milliseconds. Who's checking them?
And,
Nobody.
And that's the reason why someone brilliant came up with 15 USC 7003 is because they said, oh, wait a second. You know, we got to make a law here that they cannot make illegal electronic copies of the note and deed of trust, because if we have that over in Wall Street, they can sell it 10 times because there's nothing on record showing who actually owns that debt. So that's why it's illegal, and that's why I stood in that courtroom and said, no, I wanted to see the accounting. Because number one, there's a felony crime here, and I want to see where is my monthly payments going. I mean, I go to work every day.
Did your judge or your crooked judge order them to provide the accounting?
No, both Catherine Bauer and Kwan and Ferguson were protecting them, and including the BAP courts also were
Ferguson
protecting them.
too?
Ferguson, yes.
He was on Obama's appellate court in the 9th District Federal. I was there. I was watching him. He was one of the 3 judges that finally said, we don't have authority to decide whether Obama was illegally elected.
Well, now we don't know why.
Well, I guess we do know why.
Yeah.
The different puppets, but the same puppet masters are the Wall Street bankers.
Right.
They're getting away with white-collar crime. I don't think anybody's ever stole this much.
But not anymore, because I think that now that we all know, we're not going to stand. I mean,
This makes Jesse James look like an ant.
But, you know, but the bottom line is, again, they need to understand they are our equals, and they have no right to do this to us.
How are we going to hold them accountable?
What can we do? Understanding the crime. We need to thoroughly understand the crime. And we need to start educating our law enforcement as well. And also, we need to stop saying that it's a civil issue. It's not a civil issue. It's a very serious felony that's been committed. We shouldn't be losing our homes. It's a federal RICO. It's an organized crime. What is happening is the servicers, they may own maybe some part of the unsecured debt involved with securities fraud, but that's about it. But because it's a security, it's non-recourse. Like any stocks that you buy, if you lose your money, it's like playing Las Vegas. You lose your investment. Same thing. Anybody that bought that unsecured debt, they can't access our homes. It's unsecured debt. It's a felony. It's breach. It's
So you could file a bankruptcy Schedule F and get rid of the mortgage loan as an unsecured debt once you find that they've committed these felonies.
Yeah, and don't get pushed around by the judges like I was.
Well, I don't think you got pushed around too much because you're still fighting.
I'm still fighting, right? Yeah, I know, but they're really good at convincing other law enforcement agencies. Oh well, you know what? I'm the federal judge, so I'm going to allow them to take her house.
Yeah, well, I saw that happen with Teddy Sheldon's house too, and she didn't even have a bank loan.
Yeah.
They took her house and was free and clear, and they took her house.
Yeah. So, you know, another thing too on there, I think that I discussed also public banking. I think that we should work together to form our own public banks.
You mean a state-owned bank? A state central bank?
Yes, owned by the people.
Well, North or
Yes.
South Dakota has one of those.